How's everybody out there? Hope all is well. And we're back for another episode here. Today's topic, what I'm talking about here is going to be talking about kindness. Kindness. I'm bringing up the topic kindness. Now, I know we all like to get on social media, joke around and be silly, but a lot of times people take it too far. Everybody's got their opinion about different things, and so that's cool. But when you get to the point where everything you're doing is critiquing what somebody else is doing, or they call it hating on what everybody else is doing, and technically we all or everybody is pretty much on social media for the same thing, just to interact, socialize. Some people get into the monetize, the different TikTok or YouTube, and some other social media platforms. Really, everybody's got their opinion about different things. So I'm talking about kindness. Again, people can come at you, you can say stuff, you can come back at them. But if you just always hate, always down and talking about others, then maybe this book would be helpful for you. It's the war for kindness. We use more kindness in the world, alright? But so really, when you talk about kindness, when you think about empathy, I use the word empathy. Empathy is really no different. So really, what this book is saying is author Jamil is whether you realize it or not, you're constantly weighing the costs and benefits of sadness or joy or anxiety and choosing the feelings that serve your purpose. So when I say serve your purpose, whether you're in public, private, around family, friends, associates, co-workers, all that. So it's really using those feelings, using that those feelings and empathy ran in based on the purpose. Really, empathy kind of ties into it, so it's no different. So yeah, it can occur automatically, but more often, most of us, we choose to avoid it depending on whether it seems useful. Alright, so empathy, whether we see it to be useful or not, a lot of times we bypass it and don't even attempt to use it unless there's something we need to get out of it. So there's obvious reasons to choose it. One it can feel good because positive emotions are contagious. I always use the term, sometimes people do volunteer work, people like to give, and that can be contagious, and that makes people feel a certain kind of way when they can help others out and they can give and add value to other people. So that's a way. Not everybody has that gift, or I should say not everybody has that motivation to help others and get stuff out of it, but that's what we're talking about. So it can feel good because positive emotions are contagious. We are lifted up by the happiness around, like, race cars, houses, clothing, different things like that. But empathy feeds our deep-seated need for relationships. So again, you use it when you feel like there's a purpose when it's needed, not necessarily when trying to practice it all the time, but only when you feel that it's needed. Let's see. So when people want to connect, for instance, they're around attractive or powerful individuals, they turn up their empathy and read others, and then they start, you can read others a little bit more clearly and get results that you're looking for. So, but even when empathy doesn't feel good, we know it can make us look good. So that's what a lot of things. So a lot of times we do things not necessarily because you want to or necessarily think you need to, but sometimes you do something just because it makes you look good. So So now you being nice, you using empathy, you compliment somebody, you're passing out, I don't know, information or whatever you're doing to try to feel like you helping or doing whatever to the next person. And so if you feel it makes you look good. So.
But there was this older lady, I mean, so frail, little old black lady, and she had like just fruits, a couple bananas, like, a little bag of grapes and, a cabbage or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept asking him the price of each one because she had a couple dollars in her hand and she was trying to figure out if she had enough.
Yeah.
And he was giving her the hardest time. And he was like, I don't make the prices for this and, blah, blah, whatever. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm watching, I wasn't even really paying attention to my, cashier because I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to hurry up and pay so that I can go pay for her stuff. But he ended up paying because he saw that I was watching.
Yeah.
And then, once I asked her, hey, is everything okay? He's like, oh, don't worry, I paid for it. Yeah, because you saw I was worried. It's better to lead with kindness and love and be gentle because especially in this economy, in any economy, you never know what someone is going through. So now supposedly he's offering to mentor the girl, baby, but her mom trying to slow.
Oh,
mentor.
Yeah, I feel like that's so traumatizing. I hate the whole make an example out of this person thing. Like, I think it's the dumbest way to really try to get what you want. You know what I mean? I feel like it is one of the highest form of manipulation. That's just my opinion. Though it is a practice that is widely, done through workplaces, the government, the police, whatever.
So, he used the example, Mother Teresa or Jesus or Dali. Indication, compassion, and generosity are the clear signs of virtue. When people most establish their moral bona fide, they turn to empathetic action. Individuals are more generous in public than they are in private. And also, I would say also act kindly to convince themselves of their own goodness. So they're kind of faking it until they make it, or they're putting on their game face when they're in public. This guy was saying this. What did I say? His name, Jamil. In several studies, psychologists have put under moral threat. For instance, asking them to remember times they betrayed someone else's hurt. I'm sorry, trust. I meant to say trust. Asking them to remember the times they betrayed someone else's trust. So to compensate, these participants help strangers, they donate to charity, advocate for environmentally friendly behaviors more than people who were not threatened. Now, I've seen people with money, I've seen a lot of people that have run certain different businesses, and they feel like to offset whatever bad or whatever they're feeling down about, they go and help to try to offset that. Have you ever heard somebody say, oh, well, yeah, my company does this, or yeah, I provide this, and it's not all that good, but on the flip side, I volunteer, or I hand out, free food, I hand out money. And so basically what they're doing is they're trying to balance things out, and they know whatever that situation is or what they're doing is not good. So now they're feeling they need to balance it out. So they choose, but every reason to choose empathy is also another reason to avoid it. So you think about it, when others are in pain, connecting with them, their risk or own well-being, then let's see, this guy, what did he say? He used the example. One of his friends who was a therapist does his best not to schedule depressed patients for the end of the day to avoid bringing the darkness home with her. So think about that. So they make sure all of the depressed or the people with the real issues that they meet with are towards the beginning of the day, because they realize that has an effect on them. When others are in pain, connecting with them risks our own well-being. That's why people are always talking about they're going to protect their energy, protect their peace, because you understand that can be contagious and it can rub off on you. And but he used, this person did a study. He positioned a table in a busy student union at a university and post information about a charity on it and tinker with its appearance. Sometimes the table was unnamed, other times the student sat in by it in a wheelchair. Sometimes it contained an image of smiling, healthy child, or other times it showed a sick or sad one. The wheelchair and the same image were triggers for empathy. This is what they posted. You see what I'm saying? So they're trying to get, trying to do this study here by posting a wheelchair or showing students that are sick and all that stuff. So parents have found out that students walked in wider, and when it contained empathy, it triggers that. When it didn't, empathy triggers than when it didn't, keeping difficult feelings at bay. So yeah, that's what I said. So basically the wheelchair and the sad images triggered the empathy of the students as they walked in. But when our own time or money is at stake, empathy feels like even more of a burden. You understand? So a lot of people are not going to sacrifice their time or money, for the empathy. And so then at that point you avoid it. Yeah, so that's so what my man is saying here is we've seen people benefit from turning up their empathy, but imagine taking on everyone else's feelings all the time, right? Everybody that you come in contact with. You couldn't walk on Manhattan Block or watch the news without collapsing into a heap if you took on everybody's feelings that you came in contact with and empathy for everything you come across. If your son broke his leg, you'd panic so much you'd be useless because you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't be able to respond based on the brain and based on what you're saying. You wouldn't be able to respond. Your emotions wouldn't be able to kick in and do what it needs to do. If your friend broke down, depressed, and was in divorce, and you'd cry too much to comfort, you'd make a lousy therapist or friend or consultant. No single emotion experience is always helpful or harmful. Anxiety feels bad, but it can energize us to face challenges. Joy feels good, but as deep, and it can turn into, mania. We could all use more empathy sometimes, but too much of it can deliberate us. All right. So that's the old saying. You hear people saying sometimes, it's good to say yes to different things, but you can't always say yes to everything. Sometimes you got to say no.
Catherine Stockett, in her book, The Help, says, "All I'm saying is kindness has no boundaries." Hey guys, Orly Waba here, coming at you every Monday through Thursday with an act of kindness to kickstart your day. Coming from my book, Kindness Boomerang, How to Save the World and Yourself Through 365 Daily Acts. And so for today, June 28th, the act of kindness is to offer a coworker a ride home or a lift to work. I'll never forget this. My student Sylvia and I had our commute to school timed to 6 minutes. To us, those 6 minutes set the tone for the rest of the day, ensuring that regardless of how hectic life gets, the day started with a smile. So getting to school on time was the only way Sylvia would escape the constant detention slips. She only lived a couple blocks away from me, and so I offered to drive her to school one week. And before I knew it, 1 week turned into a daily routine that we both look forward to. And each morning started with a song that would empower us to find the beauty in the world, the beauty in ourselves, and the beauty in the ordinary. We were both not really great with lyrics, so it started off as a game. Every few weeks, one of us would choose a song, print the lyrics, and our morning drives became filled with laughter and music as we attempted to memorize the words.
So when talking about kindness, and I'm still according to this book here by Jamil, Building Empathy in a Fractured World, a person's genes might predispose him or her to be relatively high or low in smarts. We can tell their set point, but each person has a range. Their intelligence registers as higher or lower depending on who raises them. So we're not talking intelligence as far as smart, dumb. It's talking about your emotional intelligence, on how you deal with empathy and how you deal with different things. So according to a hypothesis, empathy is a trait locked away and impervious to our efforts. This idea jibes with common sense. So of course, some people care more than others. And that's the thing that, in a society, you got some people that have more empathy. Some people who care about others. Some people get a joy about making sure other people are good. They passionate about making sure they see other people good. It's kind of like, still nowadays, I say back in the day, if you think like your grandmother, your great grandmother, whoever, when they used to cook meals, so they could cook a whole 4 or 5, 6, 7 course meal, and they get a real thrill and joy in feeding people and seeing people happy. So that's just an example. But imagine two people, Saul and Paul. They're going to the Bible here. So imagine two people, Saul and Paul. Paul is less inclined toward empathy and more towards selfishness. And Fixes would argue that this would hold true forever, because people seldom depart from their point or their ways, their set point, set ways. But here the idea is depicted by both men having a relatively narrow range. So we're saying even on Saul's best day, and poor Paul can barely empathize as much as Saul on his worst day. So again, even on his best day, Paul can barely empathize as much as Saul on his worst day. So this perspective has some truth to it. Empathy is at least somewhat genetic and is demonstrated by studies of twins. And some of this research, twins decipher people's emotions based on pictures of their eyes, their parents, and all of that good stuff, So, but they're not saying that that's not something you can change. I mean, we all grow up with different habits. We all get exposed to different things. So while granting the importance of these points, a mobilist would argue that people can still change in meaningful ways. So if you're taking another look at the twin research that they did, empathy and kindness are partially genetic, but there's still room for non-genetic factors, experiences, environment. But y'all notice I always be in my workout gear, because I be feeling the most motivated to come on here and talk some mess. When I say talk some mess, try to get things right. But I be coming from the gym, and that be my something about when you go to the gym. They talk about how it creates different energy levels in the brain, and also it's supposed to give you, in long term, it's supposed to give you more energy. So there's a lot of good things that come from going to the gym. But yeah, that's it. It's been my workout gear when I come and see me do my little taste, because it's like some people rap, they feel like maybe when they're in the shower, or maybe when they about to go to bed, maybe when they first wake up, everybody different. When they come, their energy level get to a certain point, their mind just be spinning like, okay, this is the time right here. I'm about to put these lyrics down and all of that good stuff. Okay, again, so empathy and kindness are partially genetic, but there's still room for non-genetic factors, experiences, environment, habits to play a crucial role in you changing and, being able to absorb and take on a different a different take when it comes to empathy, and that's with anything. So people say that all the time. You can't keep using the excuse that, oh, my parents made me this way, or my parents used to do this, and my parents used to drink, my parents used to party, all these different things, just different things. Some people make excuses or still making excuses that they are the way they are because of their parents. But like basically what he's saying in his book is that, yeah, we have genetics. We were raised a certain way, but that's not something you can dig into your inner self and change and become more kind or having more empathy. You grew up with your parents. Maybe they were mean. They taught you how to be tough, and smiling and kindness wasn't always a favorite thing. So, but that's something you can change, and you're never too old to go back to school and learn different things. So here what he's saying is elasticity is depicted by increasing the range of Saul and Paul's possible empathy. Depending on their experiences and choices, each one can travel quite a distance in this range, meaning one from empathy to less empathy. Here, what I'm saying is they're saying there's a range for both of them. So if we're saying Paul is less inclined toward empathy and more selfish, right? There's a range where he can start moving to more empathy. We're saying Saul has empathy and less selfish, but there's still a range where he can kind of move to the middle. So there's ranges to be able to lower or higher each one's empathetic moments. And that's dependent on their experiences, their choices, and so forth. So empathy and kindness, they go hand in hand. Empathy is a short supply. Isolation, tribalism, what does he say? Tribalism are rampant. We struggle to understand people who aren't like us, but find it easy to hate them. So it's easy to hate on people as opposed to, forming some sort of kind, especially if it comes natural for you. So studies show that we are less caring than we were even 30 years ago. He used the example even in 2006 when Barack Obama said the United States is suffering from an empathy deficit. Since then, things seem to have only gotten worse. Obviously with this presidency and what's going on, you can see it. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about factual. We know the things that Donald Trump has said and what he stands for. We know the things Elon Musk has said and stands for, talking about minorities and different employees and they less intelligent. A lot of different things both of them have said. So I'm not bringing up no hypothetical or something that's not true. It's facts that they say stuff like that and they've said stuff like that. So with their agenda, obviously they're leaning to more towards some of their thoughts. And so it's just creating a lot of chaos, a lot of people protesting, a lot of different things. So, but, trying to get people, but still at the same time, trying to extract people from hate groups and all of that good stuff. But, next time you're online, try, and you get ready to, and like I said, I'm not saying I'm the greatest when it comes to all this, because I know for a fact when I see stuff, but generally mine comes from, and I've said this before, if I see something and somebody coming after somebody else, I'm like, man, give them their flowers. I always use the example of Angel Reese, and just recently, I think it was Dawn from the group. But yeah, but yeah, just what was I saying? So yeah, I forget her last name. Robinson, I don't remember. I had to look it up. But she was talking about how she was homeless, living out of a car. But people still gonna get online and talk about, well, how'd you get in that position? And how this and how that? I'm like, you know, she's trying to fight this struggle. She's trying to get through that thing, get through it. So, you know, I'm just saying, you know, sometimes maybe look at a different side of it and say, okay, probably try to have a little bit more understanding, use a little bit more kind words, and trying to figure out exactly what they're going through. And, you know, that's why I posted, you know, go to a channel, like, subscribe, do all of that, because you can get monetized and make money and make some fun. So honestly, I'm not even concerned or even really care how she got to that point. All right. I mean, everybody going through stuff, and some people gonna hit rock bottom, and that's how it is. So, but yeah, that's my take on all of that. All right. I'm gonna try my best to y'all stop all that damn hating. You know, try my best, because I know the feeling, because I see that when when I see people trying to get after somebody else, and my things, I'm like, man, guys can stand up for themselves. So I'm trying to defend the women. And when I think about that, I always think about my daughter, you know. So that's it. She, you know, that's it, you know. And so black women, they go through enough. I don't have to keep talking about black and brown minorities and what they go through. All right, you already know. They don't need you coming at them too. All right, I'm enough of that. I ain't gonna keep talking about that, beating a nail into the ground, hammering into the coffin.
I was on Shaka Khan's Instagram today, and she was saying that today is like a super moon, which won't happen again for another 13. Won't happen again for another 13 years or whatever. So she was saying, like, you know, any positive things that you want, you know, to send out into, you know, the atmosphere, and, you know, pray and meditate on, you know, the good things that you want. But the main part that I got from it was she was talking about, like, leading with kindness, you know, like, be gentle to people. Like, you were saying that, you know, sometimes it's important to speak up for yourself, but if you have the opportunity to be gentle and to be kind, to treat people like that. Like, we don't always have to lead and try to rule with fear. So I felt like that was, you know, very much tying into this conversation.
But that's pretty much it. And, you know, empathy, kindness, they all tie together. So, you know, some people tend to use it less, should use it more. But again, I'm not saying you can't walk around, do you, and always have to cater to somebody else. But, you know, if you always initiating hatred, always initiating coming at people, you know, try to reverse sometimes. Try your take being empathy or kindness or understanding or understanding what that person is going through when you see something on social media, instead of saying, oh, you know, if everybody's doing this, then, you know, that's, you know, that's useless. Or why are TikTokers doing this? If you're watching TikTok and you're watching people cook meals and stuff, why, you know, that's useless. You should be able to do things on your own instead of using influencers and stuff to dictate what you're doing in life. Really, all it is just the American way is we feed off each other. So whatever you're doing right now, you got that from somebody else, and you fed off of somebody else. So I say all of that to say, you know, basically kindness, empathy, try and tie it together. You don't be overwhelmed, maybe overwhelm yourself with it, but let's just do that and try to get at it. All right, if this has been helpful, somewhat amusing, you got some empathy or exciting or whatever, hit that like button for me and subscribe, or just hit that like button or just subscribe, or you don't have to do either one. But appreciate your support, even just checking in time, coming in and looking and listening. All right, so we do this again. Check you out, my good people. I hope all is well, everybody's doing good. So